Okay, very good. Alright, today's class we are going to look at the Vitakka Saṇṭhāna Sutta. Have you all got the notes with you? You can get your notes ready. Now, I want you to look right at the top of the page here. You can see the 6 here means chapter 6, and above 6 you can see SD 1.6. Now, this number is very important. It helps me locate the sutta. There are about 10,000 pages of this sutta, and there are some 70 volumes. So this is volume 1. SD1 means volume 1.6. 6 is chapter 6. Right? So I started translating this long ago, some 18 or 19 years ago. Right. We call this a living translation because we update it every time. You can, right at the end of the sutta, you'll see computerized dates will show you the dates we updated it. We only mention once a year, but sometimes in 1 year we update many times, depending on new materials we discover, better translations, and so on. So this is chapter 6. Now on the right hand side, at the top, you will see the Pali M20. This is for those who know Pali. So you go by the sutta number. It is M is Majjhima or middle length discourses. 20 sutta 20. Then /1:118 to 122. This is the Pali Text Society edition, Pali edition, PTS edition, produced in London about 100 years ago. So this for people who know Pali to check. Okay, so volume 1, page 118 to 122, and then the Pali name Vitakka Saṇṭhāna Sutta. I purposely put the name there like that in full without any comma. This is for indexing purposes, or it's called tagging. So some people, they do a search, they just put Vitakka Saṇṭhāna, and then that's how you get it. Then below you have those big 20-point titles: Vitakka space Santhana space Sutta. Vitakka. Now this was very interesting. Look at it has two parts. A prefix, vi. Vi is very similar to the English bi, as in bisect. Okay, to cut, separate. Taka, tarka in Sanskrit. In Malay is taka. In Malay the word means to guess. But taka, the Pali word, means to think. Alright? So Vitakka is a noun. It means thought. Thought, or it can be singular or plural. In this case, it's a title, so it can be singular or plural. So Pali is quite versatile in this case. Santhana, again, here, this was very interesting. In Pali, words are like plants. They have the roots and then they have the stem. So this is a stem word, S-T-E-M, stem. So the key word is Thana. Thana, again, in Malay, you have Tanah, meaning ground. Okay, so it comes from this Pali. Actually, Sanskrit is Sthana. Sthana, and from Sthana you get the Malay word Istana, meaning a palace, a special place. Sthana means place or placing, right, or foundation. For example, you get Satipatthana again, right? So there are many words with Thana meaning some kind of stability, foundation. Then you have the prefix san, S-A-N. San is very much like English com or con, Latin rather. It means like together, togetherness, okay, or converging, focusing. Santhana, okay. Now there's a bit of controversy over how to translate Santhana. Some scholars think Santhana means form. That is without the two dots underneath, the N and the T. It means forms of thoughts. So you have some scholars translating this as forms of thoughts. Then, but if you check carefully the commentaries and the special the sutta itself, you find actually Santhana here means stilling, calming, bringing to peace of thoughts. Santhana. Okay, sutta means thread. Sutta in Pali, sutra. Sutra in Sanskrit, and in Malay become sutra. right? The Malay, they often take it from the Sanskrit, but sutra has an extended meaning in Malay. It means silk, right? But in Pali and Sanskrit it means thread. So this is a thread of teachings that goes back to the Buddha's time. Vitakka Saṇṭhāna Sutta, the discourse on the stilling of thoughts, M20. So either remember the title, Vitakka Saṇṭhāna, or remember the number. Like for me, I'm better remembering names. Some people are better remembering numbers, so it helps. Okay, especially when you want to ask a teacher who knows sutta, you want to know more about this sutta, you say, okay, can you please tell me more about the Vitakka Saṇṭhāna Sutta, or can you please tell me more about M20? Then it's very easy for the teacher to look up. If someone asks you, what is this sutta about? Then you look at the theme, the third line, how to overcome distractions during meditation. All right, so there you are. So this is the introduction, the blurb. Okay? So spend a bit of time looking at the blurb before you look at the rest of the suttas. Let's go into translation now. This is quite a short and easy sutta. Right, we'll go down to page 111, if I'm not mistaken. The Vitakka Saṇṭhāna Sutta, the discourse on the stilling of thoughts, M20. Section 1. Okay. Right, here we are. Thus have I heard. So this is the sutta is also something about hearing, about listening. Of course, in our times, our tradition is more of reading. Okay, so thus have I read. Okay, so but always remember, there is this aspect of the Dharma which is to listen. When we listen, there's this direct communication with the teacher. We connect up with this thread that goes back to the Buddha. So thus have I heard is a very significant line reminding us of the spirit of studying the sutta. Of course you can read it alone, but the suttas also want us to connect with other Dhamma-farers, other people who know the sutta, who study the sutta. So we have this fellowship, right? We cannot end up alone. Then there is no fellowship, there is no samaggi, we say in Pali, right? So find in the Sangha there is this wonderful fellowship. The monks and nuns and novices and so on, they talk and look at each other in the eye, and they mix like milk and water according to the suttas. So there's this fellowship is very important. Okay, so I hope in Malaysia and Singapore we have this kind of local fellowship where local people look at each other, local teachers especially, look at each other in the eye and mix together like milk and water. It's a very important aspect of our growth as a community. Right now we all are competing to study and teach Buddhism, and that's not the right way. So the Dhamma opens us up. The Dhamma helps us to renounce this I-centered way. Let go of trying to start something which is me, which is I and mine. People like to thank me, say, oh, I like this class, I like this sutta. I say, Sadhu, I'm so happy. Because of the Buddha. I say, please, we both must thank the Buddha. And now, right now, thus have I heard, at one time, this is the time when we connect with the Buddha. The Buddha has passed away. Yes, his body has has dispersed, the four elements. His teaching is still here. If you see the Dhamma, you see the Buddha. The Buddha is not a person in this sense. It's this teaching that we practice, then we embody it. Then we have the Buddha mind, Buddha heart, if you like, in a manner of speaking. So at one time, this is the time when you stay with this sutta. That is why I love suttas, because suttas bring you right back to where it started, right back to where it is. Present tense. There's so many other suttas, and really great talks, modern teachers, but you find they're all in the past, and it's not really about us. Like here, this is about us. When you find the sutta difficult, it's about you. Why do you find it difficult? It's because you have a lot of defilements. Then we have to overcome those defilements. That's what the sutta is telling us. then we understand the suttas better. The Blessed One was staying in the Anathapindika's park in Jeta's Grove near Savatthi. So there's a beautiful story over this. Maybe one day we might look at it. He stays in the Savatthi, has given many teachings there in this wonderful park. This is like a forest. It's a forest monastery. It's nothing like any temple you see today in Singapore anyway. It's a beautiful park. It's more like you go to the botanic gardens and you sit under a beautiful tree. It's like that. Okay. So the Buddha will sit under the very beautiful tree, and it's bright day and people are sitting in the shade. There are lots of trees around. There's no PA system. It's a beautiful, quiet place, and the Buddha's voice can be heard even by 500 or 1,000 people. So the Buddha has got this amazing, loud and clear, lion roar-like voice. The Blessed One addressed the monks thus. Okay, it's always the monks here. The suttas mention the monks. But if you look at the Satipatthana Sutta, M10, I think, in the commentaries, you find Buddha Ghosha, the commentator, will tell you the word monks here, especially what bhikshus. Bhikshu means monks. I've used the anglicized word from bhikkhu. Bhikkhu is Pali, bhikshu is Sanskrit, so I've used bhikshus to show that we're talking about Buddhist monks. Bhikshus or monks refers to those who are sitting there listening to the Buddha. In other words, it can be the monks, the nuns, the novices, male and female, the lay people, male and female, even devas, even animals. Now, animals can't understand the Buddha, but they can sense the wavelength of the Buddha's voice so peaceful, and they feel at peace. In fact, right now my cat is outside scratching on my door. He wants to come in. See? So the Buddha says bhikshus, so he's ready, he addresses the world. When he says bhikshus, he's addressing the world, he's addressing us. Are you ready? And the monks reply, Bhante. Bhante. Bhante can also mean yes. You know, like in local Malay, you reply by saying Tuan. Okay? It also means yes. Okay? So the monks say, Bhante, Venerable Sir. Bhante simply means sir, actually, but it is a common word, very common word in India at that time. The monks use this, so it has become like a special word here, meaning Venerable Sir. Even lay people sometimes, often call their bosses, their head of the house, Bhante. The interesting thing is, even today, many of my students from 50 years ago sometimes call me Bhante. They're so used to it. Okay, so now of course it just means sir. Okay? Previously it is Venerable Sir. Okay? So Bhante, the monks reply in essence to the Blessed One. So they respond. So there is this connection. So what the monks are saying, okay, I'm ready. We are ready. Then the Buddha starts the lesson. He tells us what is the thesis. What is he going to talk about that day? The Blessed One said. Notice the simplicity of the language. The Blessed One said, Bhikshus, when a monk is devoted to the higher mind, brackets meditation, he should from time to time turn his mind to 5 signs. Another meaning of signs here is mental objects. What are the 5? Okay. Bhikshus, when a monk is devoted to the higher mind, adicitta. Here, technically it refers to deeper meditation, especially attaining jhanas. But for us, we can take it to mean serious kind of meditation, okay? The higher mind. So it's not just any kind of meditation you learn from some psychology course or some other secular courses. This is the meditation of the faith in the Buddha, meditation to improve ourselves, to attain stream winning, to awaken, that kind of meditation. So when we are doing this kind of meditation, sometimes, from time to time, we may have some kind of distraction. So that's the meaning of from time to time. So there are little numbers, there are footnotes. You can look up the details on your own whenever you need to. Especially at night. This is what I do. If I can't sleep at night, I'll take a sutta and read it, and within 1 page I'll fall asleep. So it's very restful to read the suttas. So from time to time, turn your attention, direct your mind to 5 signs. So this sutta is about these 5 signs. You can see the 5 signs highlighted, bold print. 5 signs. Nimitta, mental objects. In other words, this is what your mind looks at. Then the Buddha asks, what are the 5? Okay, so this is an oral tradition, so you find this very communicative text. What are the 5? So you can see brackets 1, right? And then the rest you can see brackets 2, 3, 4, 5. So they are listed like that for your convenience. You don't see this kind of numbering in other translations because they want to save space, make the book kind of thin and or rather manageable. Here, Sutta Discovery, I've decided that we are not going to worry about space and paper. We use tons of paper. We're going to give this wonderful space. Every time we get a complaint, we have to address it. Sometimes old folks complain, say, oh, your fonts are too small, can you make it bigger? And we try to make it bigger. We used to use Times Roman. Now we use something easier, just easier on the eye without with the sans serif. And so we put this numbering, these titles, headers, so that it's easy for you. This is the SD system. Thought displacement, of course, is a modern term, just to help you remember roughly what that section is about. Section 3, paragraph 3, this is the sutta. Again, this numbering is not there in the Pali text here. I try my best to follow the Pali text society numbering. Sometimes their numbering is even, sometimes it's too much spaced out to be useful. So I will kind of have to decide on my own numbering as far. I try to avoid it as far as I can, but usually we try to keep to that number so that you can look up the Pali again. You get used to this as you use this SD series. Here, bhikshus. Here means in this teaching, in this practice, bhikshus. While a monk, while a meditator, there you can see number 25. If you go down, you can see mentioned that it refers to you, the meditator. A monk is attending to some sign, mental object, on account of which there arise in him bad, unwholesome thoughts, connected with desire, connected with hate, or connected with delusion. Okay, this is the key paragraph. Make sure you understand this completely, because this will repeat itself below 5 times at least. Wait, come down again, please. Not yet. Okay. So when you're attending to some sign, in other words, you are looking at something in your mind is focused on the wrong sign here. Because it says, on account of which there arise in him, in you, bad, unwholesome thoughts. You are distracted. Usually we won't get angry or desire won't arise, but we kind of become blur, we say in Singapore, where we are lost, we daydream. Right? Because that object is a thought, right? Vitakka. Remember the word vitakka is a thought connected with desire, hate, or delusion. Usually we say greed, hate, delusion. These are the 3 roots of unwholesome actions. Actions are referred to thought, speech, and deed, the 3 doors of karma. We get distracted through desire, through wanting something, and not able to get that. The opposite arises, hate. We could be aroused or angered by hate, and this confuses us. That's delusion. So these are the 3. Okay. Sometimes there's a 4th. It's fear. So these are called the 4 biases. We break the precepts because of these 3 unwholesome roots, or because of the 4 biases, out of fear. 4th one is fear. So, summary, we get distracted because our mind has wandered into something unwholesome. Okay? Right, so let's go down a bit. Then bhikshus. Okay, so now the Buddha gives a solution. That monk, the meditator, should turn his attention to a different sign connected with the wholesome. So redirect your mind. That's why we call this directed meditation. You redirect your mind to something else, to a different sign. Switch the object. 3.2. By attending to a different sign connected with the wholesome, those bad, unwholesome thoughts connected with desire, connected with hate, connected with delusion, are abandoned. They disappear. Notice the phrases connected with desire, connected with hate, connected with delusion is in italics. It shows that this is repeated. It's already early on. Many modern translations, I call them the commercial translation because they publish commercially, they tend to remove all this and just put 3 dots, and sometimes you wonder what the 3 dots are. We rarely know what they are. So here we put everything in full. This is another characteristic of the SD series, Sutta Discovery series. We try our best to pin everything for you so that you won't be lost. Everything is there. So it's like a computer program. Nothing is missing. But if you find there's too much repetition, then you can see this. Say, okay, this is repetition. You know this. Then you can read this. You learn to high-speed read. Okay. So here the method is switch from the negative, unwholesome mental object to a positive one. Okay. Now this is the thing about the Majjhima, about the suttas. This is from Majjhima, middle length sutta. Usually they're quite long. This is interestingly a short one. They just give you this tip. Okay. So it's up to the teacher to give you the details. So I'm giving you some details right now. So how do you apply this different sign? Let's say you are meditating on the breath, and then while you're doing that, some past thoughts keep coming back. You're angry with someone. Okay? You're upset. The image of this someone comes along. This happens in meditation. When you're very calm, your past memories return. Very often that happens. And you have to deal with them. Right? Don't be afraid. You have to face those thoughts. They're there, hidden by many, many other thoughts. So as you meditate, you clear the clouds, and then you see all these things in your mind. You have to clear them. Don't be afraid. That's your past. So, let's say there is anger. So what do? You switch to loving kindness, for example. Very simple way, you switch to loving kindness. Okay? Now, just now in the breath meditation, I told you if you're watching your breath and you are watching this and then distraction arises. So that's a different sign is taken over, unwholesome sign is taken over your mind. Then you go back to the counting stage, for example. Or you can go back to the in-out stage, for example, depending where you are. You go one step back. Then you find you start again. So that's another way also. So there are many ways of applying this. So you make notes, okay? So if you have a question, note it down now, then ask later. Okay, these are all practical things. Asking questions will help because each of you will see this in your own way. So there you are. Turn to a different sign. Do not stay with that unwholesome sign. Just by abandoning them, the mind indeed stands firm internally, settles down, becomes unified and concentrated. Now, this is a typical Pali sentence. You see a series of synonyms. This is called the method of concatenation. The mind stands firmly internally. Internally means inside. Focus of the mind. Stands firm, settles down, becomes unified, concentrated. They basically mean the same thing. Right? So this repetition is important because we have this audience who have no notes like you have today. They're sitting there listening, and some of them will be wondering, some of them their thoughts are elsewhere, some of them will have children, and the children are talking to them, so they will get distracted. So here you have this string of words, so they just catch one and they more or less say, oh, okay, I know the Buddha is talking about focus of the mind. So this is how the oral tradition helps us to remember and stay connected with the teaching. So this is the first method of overcoming distraction, by switching to a wholesome nimitta, wholesome sign. First method, right? Now the Buddha gives the example, and then he gives a metaphor, a parable. I call this the parable of the pegs. 3.3. Bhikshus, just as a skilled carpenter or a carpenter's apprentice were to remove a large peg or a nail, if you like. Right? Today we call it a nail, but here they use the word peg. With a fine one, right? Push it out, pull it out. Okay. So here you have this kind of woodwork, okay, a piece of, maybe a chair or something, furniture, and then this apprentice or this carpenter has find out something's wrong here, and he wants to remove this peg or this nail. Of course, in the case there's a peg, it's got no head like a nail, whereas the nail has a head, you see. But here it's just a peg, right? So the wood will be very smooth when the peg is knocked in. So here they will take a finer peg and they will knock the finer peg over the larger peg, and then it will come out the other side. Then they will pull it out and then reassemble or do something with that piece of work. So there you are. So the peg here represents our thoughts. The big peg is the negative thought. The small peg is the positive thought, the wholesome thought, to push out the other negative thought. Even so, right? Once it's even so, then the Buddha relates it to the sutta, to the teaching. Even so, bhikshus, if a monk is attending to some sign on account of which there arise in him bad, unwholesome thoughts connected with desire, connected with hate, connected with delusion, then bhikshus, that monk should turn his attention to a different sign connected with the wholesome. I use lots of italicized words there because these are repetitions. And a whole chunk that follows 3.5, all italicized, because this is just a repeat. This is called a refrain to remind us what the teaching is about. Now remember, don't overlook just because they're italicized. They help us to remember. So when you read these repetitive passages, help you to remember the teaching and the practice. 3.4. Those bad, unwholesome thoughts connected with desire, with hate, with delusion are abandoned, they disappear. Just by abandoning them, the mind indeed stands firm internally, settles down, becomes unified and concentrated. So there you are. You see, the Buddha, you can summarize his teaching into just one line. Turn to a different sign. But here the Buddha has couched it into this beautiful assembly of words to remind us how important this teaching is. So this is the first advice, the first instruction, which we really must understand, and then you get, this is called a template, and then you get a repetition with different ideas in the rest of the sutta. Now number 2. Notice here number 2, the method is aversion therapy. It's just a modern term to help us remember what this method is about. Paragraph 4. If bhikshus, while a monk is paying attention to a different sign connected with the wholesome, there still arise in him bad, unwholesome thoughts connected with desire, connected with hate, connected with delusion. Okay, suppose you tried, you say, okay, then you direct your mind, say, to loving kindness. From breath, you switch to loving kindness. But still your mind is distracted. Alright? So what do we do then? Then, bhikshus, that monk should examine the disadvantages. The Pali word is adinava. You can also translate as the danger of those thoughts. Thus, so this is a kind of the way your attitude, this put in long words, right? But of course you don't repeat all these words when you're meditating, but it's you get the idea of it and you act on it. These thoughts are indeed unwholesome. They are indeed blameworthy. They indeed fruit in suffering. So choose your favorite word. Unwholesome, blameworthy, suffering. In fact, you just take one keyword is enough for you. So you're telling yourself, no, I should not do this. This is not helpful. Something like that. Okay? So there are many words you can use. So remember, I've highlighted the key practice for you there. You should examine the disadvantage of those thoughts. Right? For example, let's say while you are meditating, then you have this angry thought about somebody in the past. Then you say, uh-oh, this is not good. This is not good. Right? I don't want this. I'm letting this go. This technique is called, or I call it, disowning the pain. We don't want to have anything to do with it. We let it go. Okay? So you say, I don't want this. This is not good. This won't help me. It only stains my mind. It sours my mind. Why should I mess up my mind with this thing? I don't want this. It's like you're wearing this beautiful, clean white shirt or dress. You don't want any dots, any dirt to fall on it. Your mind is like that, this beautiful white piece of space, or this beautiful clothing. 4.2. By examining the disadvantage of those thoughts, those bad, unwholesome thoughts, connected with desire, connected with hate, connected with delusion, are abandoned, they disappear. Just by abandoning them, abandoning the distractions, the mind indeed stands firm internally, settles down, becomes unified and concentrated. So second method, reflect on the disadvantage, the negative side of this present negative thought. So remember, first one is switch thoughts. If that still doesn't work, then look at this, examine this negative thought for what it is. It's negative, I don't want this, I'm letting it go. Disown the pain. Okay? Instead of aversion therapy, you can say disowning the pain. Also okay. Alright, now we go to the next one. The Buddha gives a parable this time, just like what I mentioned just now, the beautiful white shirt. The parable of the well-dressed bhikshus, just as a woman or a man, a youth or a maiden, a young person, well-dressed and fond of ornaments, in other words, makeup and so on, would feel troubled, ashamed, disgusted by a snake carcass, a dog carcass, or a human carcass, a dead body, hung around the neck. Oh, this is really a scary, very disgusting imagery, right? You have this dead snake is already bad enough, but you have this human body, is scary, right? So, and this person, so you have this really, this glaring contrast of situation. You have this well-dressed person who is just going to a party or going out with someone, and then you have this really disgusting dead body around his neck. How would you feel? You feel trouble, ashamed, disgusted. These three words, they come in a set, a triad, right? Whenever something is not worth it, the Buddha would say this. Okay? So, it's just like you don't want your beautiful shirt to be soiled by all these things. Even so, bhikshus, if the monk is paying attention to that different sign connected with the wholesome, there still arise in him bad, unwholesome thoughts, concerned with desire, connected with desire, connected with hate, connected with delusion. Then bhikshus, that monk should get rid of the bad, unwholesome thoughts by examining the disadvantage of those thoughts. Thus, these thoughts are unwholesome, they are blameworthy, they fruit in suffering. Examining the disadvantage of those thoughts, those bad, unwholesome thoughts are abandoned, they disappear. Just by abandoning them, the mind indeed stands firm internally, settles down, becomes unified and concentrated. There you are. This is the second method. Right? Disowning the pain or aversion therapy. So read the sutta, then remember these keywords. You can even write your own notes, you can highlight the keywords. So this is the second method. Now what if this doesn't work? Then you come to the the third method, non-attention. You have section 5. Okay, if bhikshus, well, the monk is examining the disadvantage of those thoughts. There still arise in him bad unwholesome thoughts connected with desire, connected with hate, connected with delusion. Then he should not mind those thoughts. He should disregard them. Alright? So, in simple words, just don't care about it. Right? Just don't care about it. You may say, is this a method? It's so easy. But remember, we're talking about the sequence. You've already done method 1. Doesn't work for you at that time. Then you have gone to second stage, method 2, still doesn't work, but you have put in something there. So now it's like you are hammering this rock. You're using a sledgehammer and you're trying to break this huge rock, and you have kind of banged down the hammer, bang, bang, bang. You already done let's say 99 hits. No? There's this story, a funny story I once told. There's this teacher telling this very huge big man, say, okay, I want you to break this rock, and use this hammer to break the rock. Okay, so this tough, strong, big man, he takes up this really big hammer and hits the rock 99 times, and the rock doesn't break. And he tells the teacher, I give up, teacher, this rock is hard, it cannot break. The teacher says, okay. Then he asks a very skinny, weak-looking student who can hardly lift the hammer. With all this strength, he carries up the hammer, and the hammer falls with its own weight, and he hits the rock, bang! That's the 100th blow, and the rock splits. There you are. He just needs to need one blow. So here, this is like the 100th blow. Okay, so you have already done method 1, then you go to method 2, and then this is method 3. Okay, so this is to be done in sequence. All right. This is one method. You can also try this method by itself. Sometimes it may work that way. So you got to experiment. As I said, meditation is a very personal thing. So you try different ways. So this is the this is a third method, non-attention. He should not mind those thoughts. He should disregard them. Then the Buddha says 5.2. Raise up the panel a bit, please. 5.2. Up, please. Yeah. Okay. If not minding those thoughts, disregarding them, those bad unwholesome thoughts connected with desire, connected with hate, connected with delusion are abandoned, they disappear. Just by abandoning them, the mind indeed stands firm internally, settles down, becomes unified and concentrated. Okay. Now the next one, the fourth method. Further down, thought reduction. Oh, sorry, there is this parable. There's this metaphor, the parable of the one with good eyes. Bhikshus, just as a man with eyes, okay, the sutta says with eyes, of course, for our benefit, we can add the word good, with good eyes, seeing eyes, not wishing to see sights around him, would shut his eyes and look away elsewhere. Even so, bhikshus, that monk, examining the disadvantage of those thoughts, there still arise in him bad unwholesome thoughts connected with desire, connected with hate, connected with delusion. Then bhikshu, that monk should get rid of those thoughts by not minding them, by disregarding them. So here, sometimes, let's say we're sitting in the MRT, in the train, and then you see somebody doing something that you do not like to see. I mean, it's very silly to keep on watching. Then what you're doing is you're polluting your mind. You're getting more angry. You're saying negative things about this person. That's not very helpful. That's bad input. So we rather turn our mind away. Let's say, look at the trees outside, right? So it's just a matter of turning your mind away. Someone with eyes doesn't want to see something negative. You have a choice of seeing something positive. You just need to do that. So this is a simple third method. Okay. So 5.4, not minding those thoughts, disregarding them, those bad, unwholesome thoughts connected with desire. Just by abandoning them, the mind indeed stands firm, settles down, becomes unified and concentrated. So there you are. The third method is disregard. Disregard. So third method just simply have nothing to do with that nimitta, that sign. Now we come to the key method, which is the title of the sutta itself, thought reduction. I use this word thought reduction, which actually is a kind of psychological term. 6. If bhikshus, while the monk is not minding those thoughts, disregarding them, there still arise in him bad, unwholesome thoughts connected with desire, hate, and delusion. Then, okay, now you apply the fourth method. Then, bhikshus, the stealing of thought formation should be minded by that monk. And I've added extra note for you there, by noting the causes of those thoughts. So if you see the square brackets, in other words, this is extra information for you. This is called amplified translation. It's amplified for you, something extra, because you'll be wondering, what does this mean? So that's what it means. A simple explanation, and there are other notes. Note 44. You can go on doing that. So these are called translation conventions. Those brackets are very important. In other words, we respect the sutta. We don't simply add in those words which are not there. This is important because sometimes overzealous editors may mess up the sutta. I was told by concerned monks that, take for example the Satipatthana Sutta. Now, the Satipatthana Sutta has basically the same teachings as the Satipatthana Sutta. Satipatthana Sutta in Majjhima, and then the Digha is Mahasatipatthana. But in Myanmar, the Myanmar edition, they added in a whole chunk at the end, and the Mahasatipatthana has this section very much similar to the Satya Vibhanga Sutta, the second part. They added that second part to the Satipatthana Sutta also. So the Satipatthana Sutta becomes just like the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. So this can be very confusing for beginners. They'll find, wow, this Satipatthana Sutta is as long as the Mahasatipatthana Sutta. It's like 3-4 times longer. So it's going to be quite a challenge to read it, right? Much less to study it. So we must respect the sutta. We should not like add in or minus to an extent that the sutta is misrepresented. So we use these conventions to tell you, okay, this is something I've added in. So this to help you understand this better. Alright? The square brackets. Round brackets means the meaning is needed there in English, idiomatic English. The stealing of thoughts formation. This is a very important method. So how do we do this? It says that noting the causes of those thoughts. Alright, so you have to like come up with your meditation for this one because you are distracted anyway. So you sit there in meditation and then you ask yourself, why am I thinking this? Remember, this is also part of your meditation. Right? You must not say, oh, I'm not meditating, my meditation is part. No, don't think like that. That's another thinking process. You deal with it, because as you deal with it, you are improving your meditation. It's all part of your meditation training. So when you're distracted at this fourth level, there is still this anger with this person in your mind. Then ask yourself, why am I angry with this person? I call this another simple method. Instead of thought reduction, you can call it the why method. WHY. Why? Why am I thinking this? Why does this person make me angry, hateful? Why do I hate this person? Right? Say, oh, this person did something bad to me. Then you recall this nasty thing, which you find is not very helpful. So you go on thinking like that. You go back. Why? Okay, then you find the end. The problem becomes less and less important. Why am I thinking like this? Because I'm hurt. Why am I hurt? because this person said something nasty to me. Okay, as an example, all right? Why am I hurt just because this person said something nasty to me? Because I don't like people saying nasty things to me. Then why is that so? Then you find it a bit difficult to answer already, because it's not so important now. So why is that so important? I mean, those are just words. Maybe the person doesn't mean it. It's in the past, right? So you go to why, you trace the thought backwards. It's a very important method of dealing with those very strong distractions. So this is called stealing the thought formation. You have this thought formation, the thought has formed in your mind and it's troubling you, so you try to size it down, you try to remove it by asking why, and then answer the question why, and then one more question why, and the question becomes smaller in the end. The problem is no more significant. So this is the method. Now there's a very beautiful parable analogy here, okay? 6.2 is the same, by the way, okay? So those negative thoughts will be overcome and you abandon them, right? Now we come to the parable of the walker. Okay, it's 9 o'clock, so I'm going to stop right here, so just remember this point, all right? I've seen a video where it is used to overcome, in the northern hemisphere, you get the 6 months of dark winter, right? So some people get this seasonal depression. So this was used to actually heal that kind of depression, this light perception. I say, wow, that's light perception, okay? The other one is perception of space. So you can use the same place where there is this space, huge open space right to the horizon. And this time you perceive spaciousness, space. Then you close your eyes, you picture space, feel the space, back and forth, open eyes, close eyes, space. Then when you need to, you just perceive space. Okay, so this is the second one that can help you to refresh your meditation. And there are also other methods given in the suttas. There's one file in the Sutta Discovery about these methods, 5 or 6 methods. Buddhanusati, Dhammanusati, Sanghanusati. You recollect the Buddha, the Dhamma, or the Sangha. You reflect the Buddha. If you're a person of faith, you picture the Buddhas. There are some beautiful modern paintings of the Buddha showing the Buddha very human-like, beautiful, looks human without the top knot, looks very much like a monk. You picture this Buddha and you meditate on him, right? Or your favorite Buddha image even. And then the Dhamma, you can reflect on Dhamma. I often do this. For example, if I'm sleeping and feeling lazy or getting up in the morning especially, then I reflect, say, okay, what am I going to do today? I'm going to write this thing about Buddhist cosmology, and then I can feel this energy rising. It's a very beautiful feeling. So you feel this kind of joy, all right? And the Sangha, this will be the noble Sangha, the Arya Sangha, the great saints. You picture them, think of your favorite saint. And then the reflection on moral virtue, right? For example, we recited the 5 precepts. So during this period, you have kept the 5 precepts, right to the end, okay? You're sitting here listening. So you reflect, say, okay, I've kept my precepts, all my precepts during this period. So you reflect, feel joyful. So that's recollection of moral virtue, Sila Anusati. Then you have a Chaga Anusati, right? At some point when you have done some charity, you have donated, you've given dana to some really good monks, or you help some old folks home, and you recollect this, you feel happy and good. When it makes you feel happy and good, you do it. Now the Buddha inserted a very interesting meditation. It's called Devata Anusati, which most Buddhists don't do, because this is called recollection on the Devas. Right? We don't place much emphasis on the Devas, but the Buddha strategically added this very interesting meditation because he knows there are people who are God believers who are also interested in Buddhism. And today, you can hardly find a Roman Catholic priest who does not meditate. Buddhist meditation, by the way, although they changed the label. And even Protestant priests teaching meditation. I once went to one of those theological colleges in Singapore, and this Chinese Christian from LA was talking about mindfulness. So my friend invited me, said, why don't we come along? I said, okay. The talk on mindfulness, if you just forget all those words, God and so on, it's just like a Buddhist talk anyway. So this is where, if you're a God believer and you say, okay, I want to do Buddhist meditation, can I do that? The answer is yes. So you start with your idea of God, but in this happy, kind God, minus all those thunder and lightning and blood and gore. This kind, happy, compassionate God, okay? And then you feel very nice and peaceful, very happy. And then you switch to your breath meditation. Remember, you got to renounce the past. Let go, then you feel peace. So this is the Vitakka Saṇṭhāna, very beautiful strategy the Buddha has given to those who are God believers, who are attracted to Buddhism. Okay, let's go on.
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya. The next question from Rachel. She asks, why does the nimitta described in this sutta differ from the description of nimitta in meditation, which often means like a vision of a luminous wheel when one's eyes are closed and the mind is very concentrated? Is it just because there are multiple meanings of this nimitta?
Of course, yes. The word nimitta simply means sign, a sign. I mean, it can be, just something you see out there in the streets, a sign, right? I remember one cartoon, this Hega cartoon, okay? He was walking and he saw a couple of monks sitting down doing nothing. He asked the monks, what are you waiting for? The monks said, we are waiting for a sign. So the Hega thought, wow, this is great. So may I join you? And the monk said, yes, of course, please do. So Hega also sits there with the monks waiting for the sign. Then in the next panel of the cartoon comes along this two guys carrying a sign, okay, actual notice, okay. So that's a very funny cartoon to remember. So a sign simply means something you see before you. For example, there is this nimitta in the sense of nimitta and anuvyanjana, the sign and the details, okay. We are warned to watch for the sign. Don't get caught with the sign and then you go into the details, then you're distracted. What does it mean? Now you go to this supermarket, you have lots of signs, nimittas all over around you, sound, nice music. The goods are displayed very colorful way. It's all signs. Everything you see are signs. They attract you. Okay, now if these advertisement people know about psychology of nimitta, they will pilfer this from us, they'll plagiarize this idea and use it. So you hear the sound, you feel like shopping more. You tend to shop more when there's beautiful music and you feel happy and good. And then you see this colorful thing, the label, you want to buy it, These are signs. Why you want to buy it? Because you have led yourself to the sign, past the sign, you go into the details, the anuvyanjana, the details. Right? So this is the usual meaning. But it can also be a thought. It's also a sign in meditation, a vitakka. Okay? So here in this sutta you find the word nimitta is used in the sense of this image you see, mental image. So the nimitta can be in any of the senses. It can be through sight, a sign that you see that causes you unhappiness or joy or lust or any of the three unwholesome roots or three wholesome roots. Signs can arise through sounds that you hear, right? You hear sutta if you're very happy, right? It's a happy nimitta. Through smell, through taste, through touch, and of course thoughts, the most common nimitta. Yes, nimitta has a broad sense relating to whatever you watch during meditation. Okay?
Thank you, Brother Piya. Long raised a hand. Would you like to ask a question? We will take the final question. Long. Are you still there?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, just a quick question regarding the displacements of the thoughts.
Mm.
So I was curious, like, for instance, just now one of the participants was asking about music. So I was thinking, like, let's say when we're meditating or even on our daily life, when we have some negative, unwholesome thoughts, whatever,
Mm.
kind of displace it with kind of like image of the Buddha smiling, like, or even like the Metta Sutta,
Yes.
the modern version of I Miyui. Can we use that one just to displace the negative?
Yes, it's very versatile. Depends what works for you. Remember what works for you. These are incidental for the moment. Whatever helps you, use it. Something positive, of course. Without remember the three rules. It doesn't harm you, doesn't harm others, doesn't harm the environment. Okay, the three rules. So
as long as it's the three rules, it's okay.
Yeah, it doesn't harm anyone. It works and it helps you to push away those negative thoughts. Then you can use it in that. Of course, there are certain teachings the Buddha gives us that can help, so you can use that also. Yeah, that's a good thought. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The only reason is because when my friend, we have discussion on certain things that it goes to negativity. Then I saw the picture of the baby. It shifted the whole thing, the conversation. So
yes, exactly. Yeah, so then, during class where people get a little heated up, you can always say, okay, let me tell you a nice story or something like that. Happy story. Yeah, that's wonderful. Some people can do that. You really, you save people's hearts. I mean, real sense of the word. Otherwise your blood pressure goes up. This thing is not very helpful. Yeah. So we're talking about health also. Okay. Yes. Any last questions?
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya. One more final question. Brother Zack, you have another question?
Yes, again, sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
So this is a follow-up on the last thing I said, but I was thinking about this as you talk, but in the Satipatthana Sutta it says that in Chittanupassana, the first three are knowing whether or not these defilements are present, which then would include that sometimes we know that these things are present, and it doesn't necessarily say to get rid of them. So my question to elaborate more is that, is that why he says from time to time? Because it's not every single time that we need to get rid of the defilements.
Yes.
If we can sit peacefully with them and know they're present, this is also another way to disarm them, so to speak.
Very true. Yes.
If that can't be done, then these other five are available to us. That's how I understand it. I also want to hear what your opinion might be on how these two fit together.
Yeah. Yes. That's very true, because sometimes you notice a passing thought. It is a distraction actually, but it doesn't trouble you. So you only deal with it when it does trouble you. Of course, it's better to prevent, right? So the moment you notice it is a negative thought, then if you're able to just let it go, watch on peacefully, like a passing cloud, then you're fine. Some teachers use the analogy of the host, or rather the door jaga, we say locally, the guard, the guard at the door who checks your credentials, whatever. So there is this party going on, and he stands at the door and says, okay, what's your name? Okay, have you an invitation? And then he just lets the guests pass through. So he just looks at the guests right there as they pass. He doesn't follow them inside, okay? So you just let those thoughts come, and you let those thoughts go. So, or another way those teachers like to say is, let it come, let it go. Don't let it stay. All right? So that's another way of putting it. Yes. So once you start meditating, you find you know how to apply all these teachings in a more flexible and more effective way. And go ahead and do it, okay? But remember, there are always different levels of students, and we have to address helpfully each of them. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Piya, for answering all the questions, and thank you everyone for the questions. We apologize for not being able to answer all the questions tonight, but we will pass the questions to Brother Piya, and he will try to answer them later. Now we will close the session for today, and we will move on to the puja.
Okay. All right, so but before that, as I was saying, you can also message me on my Facebook Messenger also, if you like. If you have an urgent question, I will try to answer them as time permits in between my translation work. Okay, so do send it to me if you find an urgency. Right, we have come to the end of our study of the Vitakka Saṇṭhāna Sutta on meditation. This sutta is also a reminder that we should practice, or if you have not done so, try to learn some simple meditation. And meditation is about facing ourselves, dealing with ourselves. Go at your own pace, build it up gradually, just as we exercise our body gradually, respecting the body. Meditation also, we are building up the mental muscles, respect the mind, build it up gradually, consistently. And today we have listened to this sutta, we have sacrificed some time, we have kept the precepts, we are at peace at ourselves for the moment. And these are all very wonderful good deeds we have done. Let us recollect these good deeds with joy and peace. May we be well, may we be happy on account of all this good we have done. By this good we have done, may our near and dear ones to be well and happy. May wherever we go, we bring peace and radiance with us, that we bring joy to others too. May even our enemies be well and happy, that they become our friends and be happy with us. If there are any people who are sick, people you care for, this is the time to send your thoughts to them, wish them well and happy. Or people you have difficulties with, send your thoughts to them, that they will be happy with you, just seeing you, hearing your name. Now we will close our session by doing the closing salutation. You can put your palms together if you like. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. To the worthy, the fully self-awakened, the Buddha, the Blessed One, I bow. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namassami. The Blessed One's Dhamma is well taught. The Dhamma I bow. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. The Blessed One's Sangha of disciples is well practiced. The Sangha I bow. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay.
Thank you very much, Brother Piya. Thank you everyone for participating today. We have more than 120 participants today, and we are very happy. Hope to see you all again next week.